Shalom. Giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh. Shalom Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the whole free lake every tabernacle of day and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. May be who may be, whoever you may be, to you I say Shalom Yeshua Shalom. Alright, so this is some news that you might have heard about by now. It says shooters and motives revealed in San Diego mosque shooting that deleted three. Right? And I saw something interesting here under the photograph because I said it in my head as I was, reading through. I didn't read the whole entire article, but I was reading through this top portion here, and I was like, well, they look like females, right? Both of them, long hair, and they look like girls. And then check out what it said below the photograph. While school wrestler Kane Clark's appearance has been left some wondering, there's been no reporting of any non-standard gender identity. I was like, wow. I mean, pretty much it took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, man, they look like girls. But they're supposed to be two teenage boys. But anyways, to the article and the topic at hand, it says the two young alleged gunmen who descended upon a San Diego, Islamic facility on Monday, deleting three men and themselves, have been identified along with early indications of their motives. Police sources have told multiple outlets that 17-year-old Kane Clark and 18-year-old Caleb Velasquez, driven by hate, they gotta throw that in there, driven by hate, scrawled racist things on their weapons, just like all these other shooters, and they always have some kind of manifesto, or if this was written on their guns, which now you can have what is called I think they call it a copycat killer or something like that, where they admire some, murderer, and they'll do, crimes, in the same fashion of that so-called legendary criminal. Okay, but you know how Esau does, so we don't know. We don't really know exactly if this was like an organic situation or not. But like the scripture say, never trust thine enemy. But anyways, it says they had scrawled racist things on their weapons and carried a gas can emblazoned with a Nazi SS sticker. Alright, this is what made me want to talk about it. One of them left here it is right here, a self-checkout note emphasizing racial pride, which is obviously Edomite pride. If they're actually Edomites, probably are, which will also explain what the Nazi sticker. Now, this is what made me, like I said, this is what made me want to talk about it briefly, because you have, well, obviously that's been going on for a while now. You have this major pushback against any and everybody, like the Islamic people or anybody who went for Palestine, or just down with them, and they call these people what? Anti-Semitic, right? And then you have which this has been popping up a lot lately. They keep talking about Nazi this, Nazi sticker, Nazi signs. That's been, you notice that there's been a slow pop-up of Nazi talk, which by default, of course, they would claim that as what? Anti-Semitic. And then you have the Islamic people who they put a major stereotype of just being terrorists. And aside from that, they're trying to link, the prophets to being terrorists as well. But then you have once again what? This Nazi sign, whatever. Okay, and this is an attack on, what was it, an Islamic mosque. So what we see here is Esau. He's really starting to throw even his own people under the bus. He's doing the point the finger thing, but what he's doing is he's having everybody point the finger at one another. Okay, so he can cause some chaos. And what does it all lead up to anyways? All these shootings and what bomb threats, or whatever the case may be. All this leads up to him saying that what we need to identify everybody, national security, digital ID. That's been obviously a major talk as of late. One of probably the biggest topics as of late. All right, digital IDs, national security, being able to identify people that go in and out of this country. You want to do this, you want to do that, you want to work, you have to have this, you have to have that. This is what these type of situations lead up to. This is the attack was carried out on the Islamic Center of San Diego, which is roughly 8 miles north of downtown and is home to the county's largest mosque and Bright Horizon Academy, a K-12, a K through 12, kindergarten through 12 Islamic school. While the shooting began around 11:40 a.m., one of the shooter's mothers contacted police at 9:42 a.m. She told them her son was missing, that he was suicidal. I just say it, all right. And they said he wanted to self check out, and that her firearms and her car were gone. She also reported that he was with a companion, both of them dressed in camouflage clothing. Look, here it is. Police tried to track them down using license plate readers. Okay, even ICE has been using that. ICE can read your license plate and go directly to your home. They did that to someone, because some of these people had got to the mood where they wanted to follow ICE. All right, and they'll see that as harassment. And it says stop following, stop following. They might get dragged out of the car. Or if not, what ICE will do is they'll type the person in and they'll drive and drive, let the person follow him. Because I remember this one guy talking about it. And they drove him, he was following ICE around, and they drove him to his house. Okay, so they have this technology. They don't mind using it. They talk about mass surveillance. They're setting up these flock cameras, all right, these systems and things of that nature. And it all leads to what? That same national identity. Being able to identify everybody that they plan on being on their grid. See? At one point, responding to a possible matching plate near a shopping mall, other officers were dispatched to a high school that one of the alleged shooters attended. Right? Police say, we don't have to read all that because I'm going to grab the video for you there. I just want to make my little points there. Because we see what all these types of things lead to. They keep constantly pushing to identify people. Okay, bomb threats and all this kind of madness. They want to be able to identify people and to surveil everyone, to try to know your location and whereabouts and things of that nature. All right, and they'll say that we're helping and we're preventing attacks and doing this, and really it's just the wool being thrown over people's eyes to actually control them. All right. And the main ones that they want, because that's always their main target, is the prophets. Because as I mentioned, they want to link us to anti-Semitism or terrorist or whatever the case may be, and all these different things of that nature. Right? But you see what Esau's doing. Right? He has it so the finger is pointed at everybody. Okay, all except for what the would you say the Semitic people, right? At those people. Okay, everything they do is golden and justified, when really it's not, but you get the point. Okay, their hands are just as dirty as everyone else. But you see what's happening here, right? Someone's attacked someone. All right, so he's pointing the finger at this chaos here. Really, he's the one that's causing a lot of this stuff. But it all leads up to him being able to fulfill an agenda. Okay, we see him putting up these data centers and things of that nature, and setting up some of his other infrastructure, which I think we went into that word the other day, infra. I think meaning below, right? Structure to build, so to build below. Okay, some of these data centers are above ground, some of these data centers are below ground. Okay, nonetheless, all right. Nonetheless, he's building it up because that's part of the new system, that grid. Right, when he switches everything, he shuts the power off, resets the grid, and everything has to go through a digital system. Let's go and get this so we can just close it off. So let's listen to a video. So yeah, Isaiah 29, and I really want 20 when I started 20 though. It says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught," to nothing, right? "And the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off." And ultimately, Esau is the main one that needs to be cut off. All right. The AMP says, "For the tyrant will come to an end, and the scorner will be finished. Indeed, all who are intent on doing evil will be cut off." See, KJV 21, that make a man an offender for a word, because the main ones that are offending him are the prophets. Because when you go back to Genesis and you deal with, that's their seed line, Cain. Cain was what? A fugitive and a vagabond. As a matter of fact, let me get that real quick. I think it's around chapter 4 or 5. Yep, here we go. Because what? He killed his brother Abel. If you could receive it playing out with Esau and Jacob, if you could receive it playing out with us today, all right, the Edomites, the so-called white people, all right, beginning with the top elites and on down, and us Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and you speckled birds, all right. Genesis, I didn't expect to read, up higher. I want to get to the point, but let's read down into it anyways. Genesis 4 and 9. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? This is after, Cain deleted Abel. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. And even when you go to, I want to say it's Revelation. I know probably one in Revelation 18. I think there's another one. I think there's two in the book of Revelation. But anyways, the point I'm making is where it talks about the blood of the saints and stuff like that. Okay? Even in Daniel 7, all right? Where are the saints of the Most High? Okay? Revelation, the blood of the saints, the martyrs, and so on and so forth. This is still playing itself out today because what did Esau say? All right? When the days of mourning my father are done, all right? Talking about their father, not Jacob, Isaac, all right? I'm going to slay my brother Jacob. That plays out between the Edomites and us today. Same thing in Genesis 3. I will put enmity between thy seed and the serpent seed. Thy seed being the woman seed, representing us Israelites, and the serpent seed being what? The seed line that became known as the Edomites. So you can see all these things. That's what it says in Ecclesiastes 1. There's nothing new under the sun. These things playing itself back out over and over and over. So the voice of those Israelites was crying from the ground, and it tells you that also in a different roundabout way in Revelation chapter 6. The souls that are under the altar are crying out to the Lord, how long will it be before you avenge us? See, it's the same thing. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. All right? And then he went on crying about it. Okay? He speaks of it again in verse 14. And Cain said unto my Lord Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And you'll see from that presence, it says in AMP, shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Okay? So you go back up in AMP. Verse 12 says, when you cultivate the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength. It will resist producing good crops for you. You shall end. So he got his GMO and his, all his, his fake stuff, right? You shall be a fugitive and a vagabond, roaming aimlessly on the earth in perpetual exile, without a home, a degraded outcast. And what I want to do is get these words, fugitive and vagabond. Quiver, title, shape, ribs, okay, vagabond, look to be tossed about or around. To see, there you go, to cause to wander. And this is why he goes on through the earth, trying to take everybody else's land and territory and resources and things of that nature. Alright? But he was given what? The fatness of the earth and to deliver from above. Okay, so he feels justified in doing so. Same thing here, the same word. Alright? He calls to wander aimlessly. So let me go back. So it says to make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Okay, and if you get the word snare here, lay a snare. All right, wash. To lay bait or lure, lay a snare, lure. You see, and this is what he wants to attempt to do. All right, with the prophets and all the believers. Okay, but he's even going to throw under the bus everybody else just to fulfill his agenda. Okay, and he's the ultimate wicked one. He's the one doing all these things behind the scenes. Okay, but he has to cause this chaos to get what he wants, to get what he needs for his system. All right, he needs to identify everybody. Okay, I think that's all I needed from there. Yeah, the MP said those who cause a person to be condemned with a false word and lay a trap for him who upholds justice at the city gate and defraud the one in the right with meaningless arguments. All right, and like I said, I know that the article was one thing, right? But but the main target is always what the prophets, all right? The prophets are the ones that bother him the most, okay? But nonetheless, the other people still have to be subject, in his mind, that is, of course, still have to be subject under his control. All right, so we see these types of events keep happening, and many other events are happening. You know, all kinds of fires, oil refinery explosions, okay, and you know the crops with the gas, with it's just so many things happening all at once. But we know this is the devil moving quickly to achieve his agenda because he knows that he had this short amount of time, all right? And we know that he's going to come down and blame the ministry. Christ will come. Right. As a matter of fact, I think if I put in calendar, the hell that come from persecution. Let's see here. See if I can find anything before we close out. Actually, you know what? Revelation, but I don't think it says persecution or Revelation, no. Because, yeah, if we get that on, let's see here. Mission, is it 2? Alright, Revelation 2:10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. It doesn't mean that you have to die. Of course not. Now, there are in the scriptures spoken about martyrs for this truth, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be one of them, right? So it basically saying if you have to go to death, all right, do this for Yahweh Bashim Shah in the kingdom, their names in the kingdom's sake, all right. But if not, all right, then what's going to happen? The Lord is going to, if you so believe, hey, the Lord's going to lift up a standard for you and deliver you out of that situation. See, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit said unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. All right. AMP says, fear nothing that you are about to suffer. You see that you are about to suffer because we're going to go through it. Be aware that the devil is about to throw, and the devil's talking about these elite bankers, all right, about to throw some of you into prison, the concentration camps, all these facilities that they're buying and renovating and things of that nature, that you may be tested in your faith, you see, and for 10 days you will have tribulation, which is perfection. So it could be 10 days, it could be a whole month, all right, it could be 2 days, could be however long, all right, that the Lord feels it necessary according to your life, which is already pre-planned out. So you don't know, we don't know. All right, be faithful to the point of death. See, be faithful to the point of death. If is the big word right there. If you must die, all right, for your faith. See, be faithful to the point of death if you must die for your faith, and I will give you the crown consisting of life, all right, eternal life. Okay. Because if you have to go to death, what does it say in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4? That he's going to raise you first from the dead. You get a new body. And then those that remain will be risen up because those are all the elect. Okay? But that was the point there. nothing too heavy. Just noting that situation and just kind of seeing it from a different angle because I see some little everything happening here and there. Okay, but we know he ultimately is gonna he wants to identify everybody. That's basically it. He wants to identify everybody because that's a major part of his new digital system that's coming. Okay, and things like situations like that scenario, all right, whether organic or not, scenarios like that help them move forward with that because it gives them a rhyme and reason to say, hey, this is why we need it, so on and so forth. But then you on the flip side, you have the minute of a warning about what this man is doing. We're thorn in his side, okay? So he's going to try to come down on the ministry, right, at some point. So I'm going to leave it at that. Lord willing.
Two teenage gunmen opened fire at the Islamic Center of San Diego on Monday, killing a security guard and two other men outside the mosque. Police say the suspects, aged 17 and 18, were later found dead from apparent self-inflicted gunshot wounds. San Diego Police Chief Scott Wall says authorities, alongside the FBI, are investigating the shooting as a hate crime, though no clear motive has been identified.
There are details and information that we are investigating as to exactly what those what the hate speech or the hate words were that were conveyed. Some of that is going to have to take more time to develop further to see where that information is coming from.
Officials say all children attending a day school inside the mosque complex were accounted for and safe after the gunfire began around 11:40 a.m. Oda Ishana was among dozens of children forced to huddle in a classroom.
I heard like a bunch of bad stuff like gunshots, and plus I went inside the closet with my whole class. We heard like 12 or like 16 gunshots, and then the SWAT team said, FBI, open up, and they opened the door.
About 2 hours earlier, the mother of one suspect called police to report her teenage son missing. She said he had taken 3 firearms in a vehicle and was believed to be with another teen, both dressed in camouflage.
She believed her son was suicidal, and she began to share information that several of her weapons were missing. Her vehicle was missing, in addition to her son.
Officers began searching nearby locations before emergency calls reported shots fired at the mosque. Scores of officers responded within minutes, and officials credit the slain security guard with likely helping prevent further bloodshed. The attack comes the week before the major Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha. Taha Hassan is the imam and director of the Islamic Center.
My community is mourning. This is something that we have never expected to take place. But at the same time, the religious intolerance and the hate, unfortunately, that exists in our nation is unprecedented.
At least 5 people are dead, including the 2 gunmen at the Islamic Center of San Diego and Claremont. Among the victims was a security guard at the center. According to law enforcement, the 2 teen suspects died from self-inflicted gun wounds, and law enforcement started looking for the 2 teenagers before the shooting even started, when a mother had called police to report her son missing.
She believed her son was suicidal, and she began to share information that several of her weapons were missing. Her son was with a companion, and that they were dressed in camo, and that is not consistent with what we would typically see from somebody that is suicidal. It's being investigated as a hate crime at this point. There was definitely hate rhetoric that was involved.
All right, shalom, shalom. I know we just closed out, but I could have done this in a separate lesson, but it's not much to talk about. I just want to hit a brief, so I'm going to add it on to the end of this one. Just merge these 2 videos together as we have now. But I want to pull something up. So I put in, so we can get our answer here straight, define problem, reaction, solution, which I'm pretty sure we've all heard about. So let's read this real quick, and so we can get to our point. So problem, reaction, solution, or PRS, is a strategic manipulation technique where a group or institution secretly creates or exploits a crisis, the problem, right, they secretly, okay, create or exploits the crisis, and that's how Esau operates, all right? You know, with his secrecy, you know, his secret counsels, all those different things that he speaks about in the scriptures, to devise, you know, plans, you know, behind the closed doors and then implement them throughout the world. Broadcasted to evoke public fear or outrage, which is the reaction, how the people act to the crisis, the problem that is put forth, okay, that majority of times affects them, and then uses that public pressure to introduce a keyword predetermined agenda, the solution that the public would have otherwise rejected, right? So in other words, something that people would have normally rejected, like, okay, I don't know, we don't like the solution, we're not with it. And so they create a problem so that people can react to it, and then they bring the solution because it walks people blindly into making them want what they would have otherwise said no to. But because of their current situation, their current status, they're more susceptible to saying yes. All right, so let's keep going. So it says popularized primarily by author and public speaker David Icke. All right, this concept is often used in political discourse and conspiracy theories to explain how governments, corporations, or ruling elites expand their power. See, restrict civil liberties, a major one, or implement controversial laws, also a major. It is also colloquially referred to as order out of chaos, which we've heard that thousands of times, right? The 3 phases of PRS. The strategy relies on a structured 3-step cycle to manufacture consent, right? To manufacture consent, right? To do what? Their problem, reaction, solution. That's the manufacture part, all right? That's why it says to manufacture consent, right? Manufacture people into accepting what they're about to offer them. The problem: a crisis is covertly engineered, manufactured, or intentionally exacerbated. Examples include an economic downturn, a security threat, or social disruption. The reaction: the media heavily broadcasts and amplifies the crisis, instilling fear, panic, and anxiety in the general population. This causes the public to demand that something must be done and actively beg the authorities for protection. See that? The solution: the authorities step in with a pre-planned package of reforms, restrictions, or laws because the public is desperate for safety or stability. Beautiful, see, because this is what's about to happen. You'll see the point we're getting to. Because the public is desperate for safety or stability, they willingly concede their rights or accept changes they would normally fight against. Like it says in the book of Esdras, right? They're going to waste each other's houses, all right, for the, for the tribulation and the lack of bread and things of that nature, all right? Now, then it also gets down here to the Hegelian dialectic connection, okay, the thesis, original state, antithesis, the manufactured crisis or problem, synthesis, the new compromise or predetermined solution. All right, so on and so forth. And we wouldn't have to get into all of that. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought there was something else here too. Maybe it was somewhere else. I don't know. But all right. So pretty much now. So what did we read this problem, reaction, solution, understanding for? Because you have this talk of AI about to take, well, that's just one article. Soon want to take all blue collar jobs. Well, AI's taking a lot of jobs, and then you have people coming on and talking, smooth talk like it's such a cool thing where they're saying that, hey, could the universal basic income be the solution? Right. As a matter of fact, for those that may be new, let's type in the UBI so you get an understanding what that is. In case you don't know what it is, which stands for Universal Basic Income. Here it is right here. UBI is a social welfare proposal where every member of a population regularly receives a guaranteed, unconditional cash payment from the government. Unlike traditional welfare, UBI is not means tested. It is given regardless of wealth or income. See? And has no work requirements. Why? Because they want people to want this UBI and to get on board with the UBI. So with AI taking jobs, and you have people talking about, well, with AI taking jobs, could UBI, right, be the solution? That's basically what we just read there in the problem reaction solution scenario. The problem is, well, really it's not even a problem, it's manufactured, but you get the point. The problem is AI, which they created. So why is AI taking jobs? And they created the AI and then gave it certain skill sets and then put it in the industries to do what? Take the people's jobs. In which way? People lose jobs, or people their income is docked, or the AI just completely takes over the job. So that's the reaction from the people. And the solution that they're saying now is going to be what? The UBI. Because, well, if you don't have a job, well, we got a solution for you. Just take our UBI. And that's part of what they said, that you will own nothing and you will be happy. Okay? See, they weren't just saying that to be saying it. These were words that were coming out of the devil's mouth because this was a plan that they were already foreseen to be placed into play. See? Core characteristics of UBI: paid to everyone within a specific community or country, unconditional, issued without checking assets, employment status, or how the money is spent, periodic, distributed at regular, predictable intervals, usually monthly, cash transfers sent as direct currency rather than vouchers, food stamps, or subsidies. All right, so you have a basic understanding of what that is. So yeah, a universal. That's why it's called universal. Okay, because it's for everybody, regardless of your status. No job requirement, because tell y'all taking the jobs anyways. And it's a basic income, which is going to be according to the size of your household. And they're trying to place this as the solution to AI taking people's jobs, when they're the ones who created the AI and put them into place to take the people's jobs. All right, so as the scriptures say, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. Okay, and we don't want anything that Esau has. I know we kind of quoted a couple of things. I'm gonna actually pull up one particular scripture here, and I believe it's Galatians. All right, this message here that I'm ending on anyways to the Israelites. All right, the Commonwealth. Here it is. Okay, Ephesians 2. All right, Ephesians 2. All right, that at that time, verse 12, ye were without the Messiah, being aliens from the Commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world. You see, and that's what we all were. Let me read the AMP. Remember that at that time you were separated from the Messiah, excluded from any relationship with them, alienated from the Commonwealth of Israel, and strangers to the covenants of promise, with no share in the sacred messianic promise, and without knowledge of the Most High's agreements, having no hope in his promise, and living in a world without the Most High. And we're looking for the kingdom of heaven to be established as salvation comes. All right? We're not looking for Esau's solution, his way out. We're looking for the kingdom to be established. We're looking for salvation. All right? And I want to get this word commonwealth. Okay? See, the state of the commonwealth, citizenship, the right of a citizen, polity. A fellow citizen, fellow countryman. Let me see if I can get more out of this. Commonwealth, right? No flies. An independent country or community. Ultimately, we want the kingdom, right? We don't want Esau to continue ruling and giving us UBIs and, microchips and things of that nature. We want the Lord to destroy this man in the system and establish Yahushua's kingdom. Let me see what else is here. An eternal association consisting of there's not actually much here in this. Definitely look at this more here. A self-governing unit voluntarily grouped with the okay, there's something else. English Common Wealth, late Middle English Commonwealth, but it's like it says here, denoting public welfare, right? Because the kingdom is for us. This is Esau's kingdom. This is Esau's world, all right. And we want to see this place go down, all right. We don't want anything that he's attempted to bring forth, and so a little archaic. The general good. See, the general good. Let's see. Let's type in. Let's get the word common. Define just common. Occurring, found, or done often, prevalent, shared by, coming from, or done by more than one. See? Commune. They didn't even put the definition out here, but you get the point that I was making there. All right. The Commonwealth of Israel, right? And that's what we're looking for. The promised blessings, not for Esau to continue ruling in wickedness and having people on, microchips and universal basic incomes and all these different things. Okay, and so we see what he's doing here, that problem reaction solution. AI's taking jobs, 15-minute cities, this dystopian society, nothing, be happy, eat the bugs and be happy, right? UBI, and all this madness, all right? And then he sets himself up on high. Like the scripture say, in his ignorant thoughts, is that their houses shall continue forever. Okay, and they even speaks about where they call the lands after their own names or something like that. Who is it that has named continents after himself? All right, public buildings, school systems, libraries, streets, and roads. He names things after himself because in his inward thought, his house shall continue forever. But it's not going to be so. Right? The Lord's going to take this man down. But I'm going to leave it at that. Lord willing, you will edify.
What do you think about AI replacing jobs, though? Because that's a big concern. Even if AI doesn't sort of go rogue and start doing something directly horrible, I think a lot of people's concerns is just, hey, what about everyone's jobs?
AI will certainly be very disruptive because jobs will be different. So no, I think the change caused by AI is going to be pretty radical.
You've been working on AI safety for 2 decades at least.
Yeah, I was convinced we can make safe AI, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized it's not something we can actually do.
You have made a series of predictions about a variety of different dates. So what is your prediction for 2027?
In 2 years, the capability to replace most humans in most occupations will come very quickly. I mean, in 5 years, we're looking at a world where we have levels of unemployment we've never seen before. Not talking about 10%, but 99%. And that's without superintelligence, a system smarter than all humans in all domains. So it would be better than us at making new AI. But it's worse than that. We don't know how to make them safe. And yet we still have the smartest people in the world competing to win the race to superintelligence.
But what do you make of people like Sam Altman's journey with AI?
So a decade ago, we published guardrails for how to do AI right. They violated every single one. And he's gambling 8 billion lives on getting richer and more powerful. So I guess some people want to go to Mars, others want to control the universe. But it doesn't matter who builds it. The moment you switch to superintelligence, we will most likely regret it terribly.